Hello, so today we're going back under the house onto the backside. I am in the process of lifting it. I've lifted it about that much there. You can see the top piece of hardy board there that it's about 3/4 of an inch I jacked it up with. I'm using a variety of different size base plates for doing it. One of the problems with these is that they can crack. So you can see that I had a pretty big plate. It sunk in a little bit, but it also cracked, therefore not being able to take the load. So today's discussion is going to be on trying to come up with the best solution to support the weight of the jack. I'll be moving on to the next problem area. So this actually, oddly enough, as bad as it looks, wasn't as horrible as the other ones, mostly because this here was a previous project where I actually poured a 2-foot by 2-foot pad underneath it. So anywhere where I have a 2-foot by 2-foot pad underneath was fantastic for jacking up because the ground underneath didn't move much. So over there, those all were pads, pour pads in Christmas, December type frame. Yeah, we're now into almost June, so this project's been going on for a long time. All right. Time to go to the next interesting area, and I'll continue there. All right, so we're further down in the house. We're at what I'm calling one of my nightmare spots. So I have jacked up a little bit. You can see that I've got a board kind of stuck in there halfway, partially, kind of, not fully, not quite what I want. And what I've done is I have a jack on both sides. So one jack there and one jack there. You can see that they're almost fully extended, not quite, but getting pretty close. And you can see that it's pretty much buried in the ground. It's sunk that much. Now, on a good note, my pads, which are 10 by 10, are not cracking. So they're definitely doing better. So we're looking at about 100 square inches of space. Not as big as, say, these bricks here, which are 1/6, I think it's like 1/30, 8 by 16 roughly. So definitely take up more space, but I had 2 jacks, so it's 200 units. So you would have thought that those 2 jacks would be able to handle the load. That is not the case. Now, I did stop them from cracking, which is great. What I did is I am using these angles that are actually meant for decks to support it. So part of it goes in the ground, so it kind of gives a little bit of stability for motion, and the other part seems to hold it straight, so it gives a lot of rigidity. It's not going to bend or move in the ground when it's going with. So this is unfortunately a 10 by 18. Oh, it's not 10 by 18. It's an 8. Sorry. So those are 10 by 10s in the ground, and they sunk. I messed up, and I went to the hardware store and grabbed a 2 by 10 by 8, and unfortunately some idiot threw some 2 by 8s on it. So I came home with the 2 by 8. So it's definitely longer than the other ones, and we're gonna try, since I have it here and I've already screwed in the pieces, we're gonna give this a shot and see how it works. So that'll be the next part of this video, to see whether this has the capability, 2 of these has the capability of doing what I want. If it does, great. If not, then I have a couple of really big boards outside that I'll try it on. I expect that they may crack because they're actually 12 inches wide, and it's actually the width that's causing the problem, because that's the way the grain works, right? So that's where the load is not handling it, and it cracks on it. So that's why I was hesitant to use that. Plus, I can't find any of these things that are that wide. The best I can get is a 7-inch. So it is what it is. Be back with you in a moment. All right, so we're set up. I have both jacks in place, and you're probably gonna asking me why this is such a nightmare. So it takes about an hour to get this all prepped up and going, and for me even to get this much up here. And the problem is that this ground is a lot like picture a beach. So you have the soft white sand that you walk in, and it is like has no rigidity at all. and then you have the beach where you walk in it and your feet sink into the wet sand. That is kind of like what this is here. It is a mix of clay and sand. So it's very soft and very movable, and that is the bane of my existence. So that kind of explains what's going on here. One of these spots here, I tried 3 planks. So I actually put down a plank and then put another plank on top, another board on top of that, and it kept on sinking. So I was down 5 inches at that point at least, and it still was not helping. So yeah, it's lots of fun. So I'm going to jack it up now and get back to you in a moment, and we'll see what the results are from these 2 jacks. Well, I have now got the boards in there, and you can see they have sunk quite a bit, not quite as deep as they were. So that's a good sign, but they're still sinking and they're still maxing out. So they're not actually doing what I need to do. So I think I actually have to go to the bigger boards and see if that works. You can see I actually moved it over a little bit. So back up here a little bit, you'll see that this is where the load is on the house for this pier, on this side here. So even this should be this way a little bit to handle all this weight, which is a problem. So that explains why, and of course, even over here, they have more support beams and nothing here. So lots of fun, and explains why it's a bit of a pickle I'm in. So I will go to the next boards and see if that makes it better. Oh yes, I just remember what I was going to say. So one of the issues on here is space. So do I want to spend this area is not horrible for finding space to put boards down, but still you have to do a lot of digging and excavating. So do I want to spend our time creating these massive pad areas? And some of it's not that easy to do because there is a lot of dirt. So some spots, this dirt is actually going to, you pretty much, see if we can do that. Yeah, you can see the dirt's almost up to the top. Or it is actually to the top. So that's a lot of dirt to move to make space for pads. So the goal is to try and put pads down that are easy to move, are portable, as well as not requiring a lot of space for a footprint. So, but unfortunately it is what it is. We will go to the next size up, which is actually massive. It's a 12-inch wide board I have here that is probably 20 inches as well, so huge. It should work, especially when I put the reinforcement brackets on it from one of my other boards. So we'll go with that and see what happens. So there you have it. I've taken out some massive boards and I'm using my 12-inch, and they're about 2 feet long instead. So this is what I was using, and oddly enough, a lot of places this works without even the fancy brackets on it. With only having one, but even with 2, it wasn't working. And of course the next size up, the 16-inch wasn't working as well. So we'll see if the 12 by 24 can handle the load and not break. I have 2 of them, so we'll go under and check. All right, so as you can see, I have gone back underneath. It's getting dark, so I thought I'd be daring. I only use 1 board to see what would happen. For time-wise, it has sunk a little bit. I think it might be flexing the center a little bit more than anything else, but the board is not cracking, and I was able to put the support on this side here. So 12 by 2 feet is working, although I may want to add another cross brace just to give it a bit more rigidity from back from one side to the other, just to help out a little bit. We'll see, but it seems that I can get away with 1 board if it's massive. So 12 by 24 is working, and I was able to put that thing in pretty quick. So fantastic job, everyone. The one thing you may be wondering, and I've been wondering too, is that every time I jacked it up and the dirt went down, I then scraped more dirt from around and put it into the hole and did it again. And the question I have, and you're probably having it too, is where did all that dirt go? And of course it has to go someplace, so I'm assuming that it's spread out everywhere. I'm wondering if it actually was countering this here, so therefore maybe a portion of it might have been causing this to lift as well. Don't know, it's just a theory. No way for me to test that since I don't have the tools for that, but interesting to think about. Well, it worked. I am now done for the night because it's getting dark outside, and my emergency contact is already getting nervous that I'm under here this late. So until the next project, ta-ta.